Mikhail Sergeyevich Gorbachev, born on March 2, 1931, in the village of Privolnoye in the Stavropol Krai region of the Soviet Union, stands as one of the most consequential political figures of the late 20th century. His leadership as the last General Secretary of the Communist Party of the Soviet Union, CPSU, ushered in transformative changes, perestroika, restructuring, and glasnost, openness, that reshaped the USSR and ended the Cold War. From his rural upbringing to global statesmanship, Gorbachev's journey reflects both the promise and challenges of sweeping political reform. Gorbachev's early life was shaped by the hardships of Soviet history. Growing up in a peasant family, he experienced World War II firsthand. At age 11, his village was occupied by Nazi forces. His father fought on the front lines, and young Mikhail helped his mother work in the fields. Despite these challenges, he excelled academically. In 1950, he earned a silver medal from high school and enrolled in the law faculty at Moscow State University, a rare opportunity for someone from a rural background. At the university, he met Raisa Titarenko, whom he married in 1953. Their lifelong partnership became a defining feature of his public image. After graduating in 1955, Gorbachev returned to Stavropol and began his career in the Komsomol, the Communist Youth League, where his organizational skills and charisma helped him rise quickly through the ranks. By 1970, he had become the first secretary of the Stavropol Regional Committee of the CPSU, effectively the top local official. His reputation as a pragmatic reformer and effective administrator caught the attention of Moscow's leadership. In 1978, he was transferred to the capital and elected to the CPSU Central Committee. 2 years later, he joined the powerful Politburo. In March 1985, following the deaths of Leonid Brezhnev, Yuri Andropov, and Konstantin Chernenko, Gorbachev was elected General Secretary of the CPSU at the relatively young age of 54. The Soviet Union faced deep structural problems. A stagnating economy, a costly arms race with the United States, widespread bureaucratic inefficiency, and social discontent. Recognizing the need for change, Gorbachev launched two flagship policies: glasnost and perestroika. Glasnost introduced unprecedented openness, allowing greater freedom of speech, media criticism, and public debate. Perestroika aimed to restructure the economy by introducing limited market mechanisms, decentralizing decision-making, and encouraging enterprise initiative. These reforms had far-reaching consequences. Censorship eased, political prisoners were released, and long-suppressed historical truths about Stalin's purges came to light. Economically, the transition was rocky. Shortages worsened, inflation rose, and the centrally planned system faltered without a fully functioning market alternative. Nevertheless, the new atmosphere of openness empowered reformers and civil society groups across the Soviet republics. On the international stage, Gorbachev pursued a dramatic shift in Cold War relations. He initiated a series of landmark summits with US President Ronald Reagan, in Geneva, 1985, Reykjavik, 1986, Washington, 1987, and Moscow, 1988, that led to arms reduction treaties. The 1987 Intermediate-Range Nuclear Forces, INF, treaty eliminated an entire class of nuclear weapons. Gorbachev also announced a unilateral reduction of Soviet troops in Eastern Europe and declared the Sinatra Doctrine, effectively ending the Brezhnev Doctrine that had justified Soviet intervention in satellite states. These moves paved the way for the peaceful revolutions of 1989 across Central and Eastern Europe. The fall of the Berlin Wall in November 1989 symbolized the end of the Cold War division of Europe. Gorbachev's refusal to use force to prop up communist regimes allowed democratic changes to unfold. In 1990, he was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize for his role in reducing global tensions and promoting disarmament. That same year, he became the first, and only, president of the Soviet Union as the political system evolved. However, Gorbachev faced mounting domestic challenges. Nationalist movements gained strength in the Baltic states, Ukraine, and elsewhere. Economic difficulties fueled public frustration. In August 1991, hardline CPSU members staged a coup while Gorbachev was on holiday in Crimea. Though the coup failed within days, largely due to resistance led by Boris Yeltsin, it weakened Gorbachev's authority. By December 1991, the leaders of Russia, Ukraine, and Belarus signed the Belavizha Accords, declaring the dissolution of the USSR. On December 25, 1991, Gorbachev resigned as president, marking the formal end of the Soviet Union. After leaving office, Gorbachev remained active in public life. He founded the Gorbachev Foundation in 1992 to promote research on social, economic, and political transformation. He ran unsuccessfully for president of Russia in 1996 and continued speaking globally about democracy, environmental sustainability, and nuclear disarmament. His memoirs and interviews offered reflections on the successes and failures of perestroika. Despite criticism from both hardliners and radicals, he maintained that reform was necessary and that violence could have been far worse without his policies. Mikhail Gorbachev's legacy is complex and enduring. He dismantled the rigid structures of late Soviet communism, introduced political freedoms, and ended the Cold War, yet oversaw the collapse of a superpower and the turmoil of early post-Soviet transition. To some, he is a visionary peacemaker; to others, a leader who lost control of events. Regardless of interpretation, his actions profoundly reshaped geopolitics, inspiring hopes for openness and reform that continue to resonate. His story reminds us that history is made not just by systems, but by individuals willing to take bold, uncertain steps toward a different future.